crack myself up. I still haven't found my first Blantons.
That's different. I really like that.
They're like together, like peas and carrots.
That's funny. Sometimes accidents are good things. Peychaud's or Peychaud's or Peychaud. This is not what I expected. How's it going, everybody? It's Monday and it's Bourbcast night, and I'm sorry I'm a little bit late, but sometimes that happens. Totally nothing I could do about it. Actually, you know, it's funny. I got embroiled into a conversation about bourbon. we were talking about smoke wagon, small batch, and rumors, and it was fun. It was fun. It was somebody who follows the page, and you got to talk to them. You know, it's fun. It's fun to talk to the people and meet them face to face, and that's why I do this. At least it's part of the reason I do this. I like doing this because it's fun, but I like doing it because I like bourbon, I like whiskey, and I like talking about it. Spend all day talking about it, come home, talk about it some more. So this is my dinner. I haven't even eaten supper yet. All right, Clermont Steep. I didn't write anything down. I don't have any tasting notes. Well, I kind of sort of do. I had the real pleasure of being able to sit in on a seminar about Clermont Steep just before it launched. And the Beam Suntory brand representative was talking about Clermont Steep, and what they said was that most of the time when you have like a single malt, an American single malt, or you have, well, that's what it is a lot of the times, but a malted barley whiskey, right? It's often aged in used bourbon barrels. Well, Jim Beam, when they decided they were going to do a malted whiskey, they decided right off the bat, we're going to do something different. First of all, it's not a single malt. There are two different types of malted barley in here. The first is like a two-row barley, and then the second is a Pilsner barley. And then they take that barrel, and instead of using a used barrel, they, just like the bourbon process, they get a brand new barrel, white oak, virgin oak, and then they toast it, lids and sides. They toast it. They give it a really nice toast to damage that wood as much as they can. And then they give it a number 1 char, and then it sits in there. I don't know the mash bill. I forget the mash bill. And then it sits in that barrel for 5 years. So a number 1 char with a toast, and you can see, I mean, it's really nice dark color. The reason I'm trying it, I've been seeing it first of all. And if I'm going to do a Bourbcast and talk about whiskey, then I got to talk about what's hot now sometimes. Sometimes I'll buy it and I'll sit on it for a long time and try it when all the whimsy is gone and everybody's tried it. Well, this is one that has only been out for 3-4 weeks, and people are talking about it, so I'm going to give it a shot. I know it's not a bourbon. It's a malted, it's a malt, I'm tired, malted barley whiskey. All right, let's just shut up. Let's just shut up. Shut up, KC. Put something in your mouth. Now, the notes from Beam Suntory, the brand ambassador there, said that it's going to taste like honey butter on sourdough bread. However, some of the sources that I look through online have different notes. They're all good notes, and they all have nice things to say, but they don't necessarily match what the brand ambassador for Clermont Steep and the rest of Jim Beam says. So, here we go. Ha! Finally. You know, hey, Brian's watching. Brian is a feller that kept me. We were talking about bourbon. We were talking about smoke wagon, small batch, and uncut, unfiltered, and a few things. And I looked up at the clock and went, "Whoa! I got a Bourbcast in 10 minutes." And there was no way. There was no way. Had to get home. Had to get ready. Had to let the dog out so he didn't poop all over my floor. Yeah. Okay. We all have the same problems, right? Okay. I think I've let this open a little bit. Thanks for watching, Brian, by the way. It was nice to meet you. All right. Let's see who all's here. Paul's watching. All right. Hey, Paul. I don't know what I did with my spoon. You know, I know you saw me throw it, but I don't know where it landed. So I'm going to be using the finger tonight. As if that's abnormal at this point. All right. No, don't be sorry for holding me up, Ryan. It was nice to meet you. Heck of a nice guy. I appreciate everything you do to support everything I do. So, and I mean that's everything. There's a lot of little layers to that, and I appreciate it. Very nice of you to do that. All right. So, okay, here we go. I am not getting. Well, this is the nose, not the palate. So we'll just see, but. First of all, the nose is not super strong. I'm glad I got a Glencairn. I almost got one of the Bourbon Trail glasses and did it out of that because I was expecting more of a nose. I'm going to have to stick my big old schnoz right down in this glass, I think. Okay, there's some of it. Does have some very, very bread-esque notes on the nose. And I could even agree with sourdough. I don't get honey butter on the nose, but sourdough bread. There's some nice caramel in there. I am going to have to stick my proboscis down in there. Yeah, there's... some of those cereal notes. But yeah, bread. Sourdough bread. And yeah, there's a little butter. I'm not going to tell you it's honey butter, but there's a little butter, and there's a little bit of cinnamon. That cinnamon, there's a very slight sweet side to it, like a red hot candy. And it's tiny. I had to look for it. It's tiny. Proboscis. You've heard that before, right? Proboscis. That's what my grandfather used to call his nose. Got to clean out my proboscis. He said a lot of colorful things. Most of them at me, not to me. He was a good man. I came home from as an infant, and he met me for the first time, and he says, well, I had a twin sister. Well, they're not very pretty, but at least they're ours. And nothing's changed. All right. Okay. All right, here we go. Okay. It's 94 proof. The bloom on the tongue is slow. So I had already swallowed it, and then I got the bloom on the tongue, and then it very quickly faded. But I'll tell you what it's doing. I got gushers of drool happening right now. My mouth likes that. And the bloom was right on the center of the tongue, went out a little bit, and then as I swallowed, of course, as you might guess, it kind of went back. It was nice, actually. Really nice bloom for it drinks a little bit softer than 94 proof at first, and then that bloom comes back. That was kind of neat. All right, so let's get some flavor. Aaron's watching. How are you, Aaron? Clermont Steep, the malted barley whiskey from Jim Beam. As he swallows, he says, this is really interesting. I'm not getting honey butter, but the sourdough bread is an accurate description. A little bit of cereals in it. I'd say like a darker grain than it's not a sweet cereal. It'd be like if you added maybe dates to a granola or raisins or something. No, dates. It's got a really actually nice flavor. It's not bourbon. right? So it's not going to taste like bourbon. It's not going to have bourbon-esque notes. It's different. But if I had to compare this to the Stranahan single malt, I like this better. Stranahan's is different. It's interesting. It's unusual. And it is a single malt. This being the two different types of barley, the 2-row barley or 6-row barley. They didn't specify, so I'm guessing 2. And then the Pilsner barley. Really interesting fruit note on the back, on the finish. Kind of reminds me of peaches. Kind of reminds me of cherries. It's a peach cherry. It's not a tart cherry, though. It's a sweet cherry. Like, not a black cherry. And it took a minute. I had put this down the hatch, and it came out like, what, 30 seconds later? That was nice. Very nice, very pleasant mouthfeel. A little creamy. I imagine as it sits, that viscosity will grow. But really nice. It's not super thick, not super buttery, but it's not thin at all. It's a very, very nice mouthfeel, very silky. Wow, that's nice. I'm kind of waiting. I want to get those fruit notes back. Yeah, there it is. Peach and cherry. Oh, that's really cool. All right. Let's try this bad boy with some water on it. This is tasty. Again, if you're a bourbon fan and you're just diehard bourbon and don't want to try anything different, this may not do anything for you. I would suggest that maybe you get into some of the, so my palate may have already been primed for this because last night and the night before, as I confessed on the page, I cheated and I tried a whiskey without doing it on camera, and I'm sorry. But I tried the Buchanan's 12-year Scotch. Hey Chris, Larry, how are you? I tried the 12-year Scotch from Buchanan's, and it was funny because I posted a video from a guy on YouTube that had trouble with the opening. Ooh, my internet is terrible. There's better. That's really odd. Anyway, he had trouble opening the Buchanan's, and so did I. I had a terrible time opening the Buchanan's. He used blunt force and just twisted that thing until it came off. I tried a different route, and I ended up using a screwdriver to get it out, get it open. So, and then the ball bearing that's in the Buchanan's bottle was just bizarre, and he had trouble with it, and I had trouble with it until, there's no instructions anywhere on the bottle, so you got to kind of figure it out, and you figure it out by you shake it, and then it starts that ball barrel twist. And I don't know why they do it. It's just an interesting thing. And I had been told about it a long time ago, but had forgotten about it, that there was a whiskey with a ball bearing in the top. It seems to be a very unique thing to Buchanan's. But again, that guy that I posted the video of yesterday, I don't know who he is. I don't know where he's from, but I was amused by his video. And, he did the same thing that I did. He was trying to figure out why the top didn't open right and why isn't any bourbon or Scotch coming out and what's happening. So anyway, I digress. But I've been drinking Scotch for the last couple of days, and maybe it's getting my palate ready for this, because this is definitely not like a bourbon. It doesn't have the same notes, the cinnamons, the rice spice, the vanillas, all those things. There's a little bit of cinnamon on it, but this is definitely a different pour. And we are beautiful bourbon and splendid spirits, so this counts. Counts as an official Bourbcast, whereas the new rum that I tried, which is around here somewhere, the coffee rum, that was not an official sanctioned Bourbcast. I just did that because I didn't want to cheat on you, and I wanted to try a new bottle that night. And so it doesn't matter because I cheated on you with the Buchanan's. So I was going to do a Scotch Saturday, and then just decided not to. Because I figure if I got to start Scotch Saturdays, I'm going to have to continue doing Scotch Saturdays. And I don't have enough Scotch. and I don't have a lot of money to buy a bunch of scotch. I will take donations. Let me give you my address. Bob's watching. Or Rob. I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on. Hey, Rob, how are you, man? Clermont Steep. Let's see if I'm missing anything. Spicy? No. Michael's watching. Hey, Michael. No, I don't. It's not spicy. I wouldn't call it spicy like a rye spicy at all. I've added some water to it. I think I did. I'm so tired. I've been up since 3 a.m. My dog woke me up. Then I got home late. All right. I think I put water in it. We're about to find out. I did. Tell you what. No, it is not spicy. There is a little spice. There's a little heat right on the end of my tongue. That made the mouth feel even more buttery. It's very nice. Very nice. It did open it up some. So all the flavors I got before are now like intensified. Imagine alcoholic sourdough bread. I mean, there is some really nice, when it's on water, there's a little more spice to it. And the heat stays around longer. That bloom stays around a little bit longer. I think, I'm not going to tell you I prefer it on water. I'd say that it's just a different pour. The neat pour was really nice. On water is really nice. They're not the same pour. So I got to wonder what this is going to be like if I come back to it in 2 weeks. And I know I say that a lot, but I'm just curious at this point. I could very easily enjoy this on a regular basis, especially now that I'm starting to get into the malts a little bit. James E. Pepper, the people who do 1776 bourbon and rye, they have a single malt out. Woodford Reserve has a single malt. There's one called Bear Fight it's aged in peated casks, so it's like an American Scotch. There's a few. There's quite a few, and of course the Stranahan Blue. They're becoming more and more prevalent, and they're growing. Take it from me. We did the Jack Daniel's Triple Mash a while ago. That's the one where I broke the cork. That video went viral. Anyhow, the Triple Mash is a Jack Daniel's that, and I did this then, but I'll just quickly recap. They have a corn whiskey that sits in its own barrel for 4 years. They have a rye whiskey that sits in its own barrel for 4 years, and they have a malted barley whiskey it's a single malt that sits in its own cask for 4 years. They blend them, they let it sit a little bit longer, and now you've got the Triple Mash. Jack Daniel's has been making malted barley whiskey for 10 years, and this is the first thing they've used it in. So mark my words, there's going to be a point sometime in the future that Jack Daniel's is going to come out with a single malt. You watch. I would bet it's going to be within 2 years. I have no intel on that. That's just a gut instinct, and watching what the market is doing and the proliferation of malted barley whiskeys. We'll see if I'm right. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. All right. If you're just in the mood for something different, it's pretty nice. Some toasted cereal notes in it, like I said. Just pretty nice. All right. Ice test. So, last week I showed you that if you use a paper bag, your ice sphere will stay elegant, like this one. Now, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that this was in a paper bag for a week, because it wasn't. Because the one I had in the paper bag, I left it in the paper bag and it melted all over my sofa. Anyway, so this is fresh out of the mold. I had to make a couple more. I got one more in there. I may just leave it in there so I don't have that problem again. And I got to believe it's going to be gold just like this ice sphere. But I could thaw everything out, put it in a paper bag, like I said, making a couple more, you know, but I'm not hurting for them right now, so. All right, over ice. All right. Stick around. I'm going to tell you what's going on next week, and you're going to love it, because there's a big whole thing I'm going to do with it. Big whole thing. Brian, you kind of know what it's going to be, because, you know, we chatted. And I thought it was going to be a couple of weeks from now, but it's going to be next week. Finger stir. Like a Christmas story. Butterfinger! All right. All right. I got to find that spoon. I won't use it, but I got to find my spoon. All right. It's still there. It didn't kill it. The flavors are muted. Still nice. It's a softer taste now. It's muted. I cooled it down. So what do you expect, right? But if you wanted to make a cocktail out of it, you might think it, instead of 2 parts, go with 2.5 parts. Well, it depends on how much flavor you want in your cocktail. But it's still there. I mean, this performs better on ice than the 1792 Full Proof. You saw that with Paul and me. That thing fell apart. Nothing. Gone. This one held up. Not completely, but it held up on ice. All right, there you go. Clermont Steep. I can tell you I really like this pour. It is different. So there's some people who just don't do different, and this is different, and it's different in a very, very good way. I like it, and you know, I'll drink this. I'll enjoy this. I'll buy another bottle of this, without a doubt. Will I buy a half dozen bottles of it? I don't know. It depends on how long it sticks around and how long it's available, and you know, how I feel about it after it's opened up a little bit. Excuse me. But I do like this. All right, so next week, we're going to be starting a thing. So, Smoke Wagon, uncut, unfiltered, was really the first one that made the waves on the internet. Oh, you got to buy it, you got to buy it. Ah. Then they found out about Uncut the Younger. Oh, you got to buy it, you got to buy it, you got it. Ah. Well, now all the hubbub is the Smoke Wagon Small Batch. And I have friends that have been having people over, and they're putting it to a blind taste test against E.H. Taylor, and they say it's winning. I have not heard a single person say that this is not a superior pour. So here's what I'm going to do. Back there. I've got a bottle of E.H. Taylor, small batch. That little buddy has been open at least 2.5 years. So next week, I'm going to crack this one open. I'm going to take a couple off the neck. And then I'm going to put that cork in it, and I'm going to let it sit for 6 months. I'm not going to touch it. And then sometime after the beginning of the year, I'm going to do a battle between the Smoke Wagon Small Batch and the E.H. Taylor Small Batch. And we're going to see, and it's going to be a blind. I'll have some help. I'll have somebody help me do it. Pour the same. I won't know which one is which. I won't have. I will know the two contenders, but I'll have no idea which one is which. I will not look at the colors. It's going to be 6 months. I'm not going to look at the color of it. I'm not going to look at anything of it, and we're going to put them back to back, and we're going to see how true that is. Now, why wait 6 months? Because the E.H. Taylor has been open for at least 2.5 years. I sip on that on special occasions when I feel like treating myself to something nice, because you just don't see it on the rack very often. Even if you travel to the distillery, you're lucky if you find it. So, since that's been open so long, I want to give this one a chance to rest and open up and do whatever it's going to do. So between having a neat pour, a pour on water, and a pour on ice, that's going to be taking it off the neck and shoulders pretty nice of that bottle. And that'll be enough for me to let it sit. And then we'll make some decisions. We'll see. We'll see if it's as good as Colonel Taylor, because that's what the rumor is, and we're going to find out. All right. Thank you for joining me. I'm sorry I was a little bit late. Sometimes life gets in the way, but hey, we're here now, and we're having a good time. And I want to say thanks to everybody who's joined us, and I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Rob, Denny is watching. Denny, how are you, sir? Do appreciate it. I'm glad you're watching. So now you know what's coming up. And then in a couple of weeks from now, we're going to get back to the Green River. Now, a couple of weeks ago, we tried the regular Green River. This one's the wheated. And this one is coming up in a few weeks. And this one is out there. The Green River, so locally, is sold out. I haven't seen it in a while. So I'm glad I got the bottle that I got. And it's gone, by the way. I think I finished that one. Oops. But I've got the Green River wheated, which people are telling me they like this better than the regular Green River. So that'll be coming up in 2 weeks, I think. So get your Green River and get your Smoke Wagon small batch, and let's have some fun. All right. Thanks again for watching. I do appreciate it. I've had a blast. I hope you have too. And we will see you again next Monday on Beautiful Bourbon.